Hosted by Steve, Jenny, and his satanic assistant, Alex Daly, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
It's funny how he always lumps me in with you, Alex. We both can't go into churches. Like, come on, what's that all about? I mean, I could never figure that out, but it sounded kind of neat.
It does sound neat. And you know, like I said, I always vomit when I go near a church.
Wow. Well, you know what? Tonight we have a couple returning guests. Well, one is a regular, and another being on the second time. It's been quite a long time, and that's Richard Palmisano and Peter Rowe. Welcome, guys. Welcome back to the show.
Good evening.
Hey guys, nice to be back.
Yeah. It's well, you know, Richard's he seems to be the show.
He's like the old rocking chair on the side.
But I mean,
always there.
Always there.
The haunted rocking chair.
The haunted rocking chair. And I mean, Peter's been, like we were saying, what, 2019, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And it was over the phone, so this is the first time.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the first time live here on YouTube and, well, New Vision still as well. I want to thank everybody for tuning in who is tuned in on the New Vision Radio Network, and of course joining us here on our YouTube channel. I don't want to say what's new because there's a whole lot of stuff that is new with you guys. Let's start with the searcher group. What's going on with the searcher group?
Rick?
Oh well, we could tell you, but we'd have to kill ourselves.
Well, that's right.
You have to kill yourself.
Wait a sec. He's mentioned that a few times, hasn't he?
He has mentioned that a few
times.
That's
not the first time he said that.
Yeah.
You might do it.
But the thing is, he's divulged. So I mean, like, what's going on? He's that. Oh, I get it. He's the old haunted rocking chair, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Keep on rocking, though.
Exactly.
This is the newest thing.
Yep.
Yes, the complete paranormal investigation handbook, a comprehensive guide for ghost hunters, and it's pretty much available pretty much wherever you can buy books, right? Amazon, you name it.
Anywhere you buy books,
Yeah, and it's the link is in the show description as well. So if you want to go check it out and purchase it, and by all means, go ahead, grab it now. So this what was it released in August? It was released in August, wasn't it?
August,
yeah.
And what kind of?
Well, there was two releases. So it was released in August in the United States and early September in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of reaction sort of have you guys had so far with the book?
Fantastic so far.
Yeah. So far, so good. Yeah.
And okay, so saying that, what I'm sorry, Peter. I see a can of Paranormal in the back there.
Oh yeah, this
Flying Monkeys Paranormal.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, it caught my.
Steve's easily distracted.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, just kidding. Okay, so
They're not full.
No. So what got you guys in? Where did this begin? The work on this book.
You're asking me.
Yeah,
Were you?
Peter.
Okay.
Peter.
Well, it began in sort of the latter part of the COVID period, when, as you can recall, everybody was in isolation, and there weren't a heck of a lot of jobs available to get out in the field and study because of the isolation factor, and we were itching to publish something, and stay active. If we couldn't do it in the field, physically, then we definitely had information to share anyway in a book form. So we thought, well, why don't we stay active and stay, and creative, and put our heads together and co-author a book. And write about what we know, in this case, how we investigate, and put it into the form of a manual, an advanced investigation manual. It was picked up right away by Llewellyn Worldwide, the first place we went to with it. So we're pretty pleased with that. Richard, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it was a long journey. I mean, cool working on a book, separated by 160 kilometers. It's collaboration is a little more difficult. I mean, we have the internet and we have cell phones and stuff, but still, those deep dive collaborations to get stuff together, it's it posed some challenges, but it worked out great. It's full of tricks and hacks, and a lot of the information that put it this way: a lot of the mistakes that we made along the way, we've put the right information in this book, so you don't have to go out and make those mistakes. Spend that money and go, "Well, that didn't work." So
somebody's got to make those mistakes, right?
So this is tried, tested, true stuff that'll work and save you time, trouble. Get you looking in the right place.
So obviously, without giving too much away about the book, is people go buy it. This obviously, is from personal experiences. Now, Richard, are you talking about? Are we a deep dive? Are we right from the beginning?
I don't know. Like, what do you mean by that?
You get diving into the paranormal yourself, and Peter as well.
Oh.
Like, I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not getting into earth-shattering theory in this book. There is theory to guide you along, but it's not going to. You don't need to go out and get your PhD to understand what we're doing. And this book is great for people that have been doing it for 20 years, 30 years, or the one that wants to get into it right now, because we show you, how to approach property owners for access, how to fill out your data sheets, how to collect evidence. So the beginner would benefit from this book just as well as it's been doing it for decades. So
that's a lost art too, and that's really cool, because I mean, people now in the paranormal have seemed to they've kind of wandered away from reading these books and relying on what they're seeing on TV and so on and so on. I remember when I was beginning, it was books. It was people who, such as yourself and Peter, telling from a personal experience, what how to approach it, what way to approach it, and what happens when you find yourself in these situations, and because I mean, realistically, who's there to sort of guide you through that other than people like you that are writing these books?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, we did this because there's a lot of investigators out there. A lot of them do great work. We want them to succeed. So we put this information together, and hopefully it inspires them and it helps them on their path. Sometimes you're going to have a question and you're going to go, okay, what's the book say? And it might get you through that difficult situation.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at some of the jobs we've had and how successful we were making those connections, gaining access to, I'm not talking about a haunted house, or I'm talking about gained access to all the buildings at the Canadian National Exhibition, not for a weekend, but for 13 months.
Mm-hmm.
So those are success stories, and we're trying to share that help, that data with people that need that help to go out and do some magical work, do the big jobs, not, we're all doing it maybe part-time, like we do it only half time because most people work for a living.
Yeah.
But you want to go out and make sure that that great job is there every week, and maybe for a year or maybe for 2 years. You really want to get deep into that investigation, and we show you how to do it.
So I'm curious though. Like, I know you guys have been part of the group for a long time. You've known each other for a long time and worked with each other for a long time. Why a handbook as your first collab, and not a book about one of the investigations that you two have obviously been on?
Well, I mean, before Peter was the writer, I was the writer of the group. So, when you look at Meeting Place of the Dead, Peter was fully involved with that, although he wasn't as part of the investigative team. And then we turned around and said, well, you need a book. And he came up with the idea of the haunted town hall.
Right.
Haunted town halls. So we worked, I helped him on some of those jobs as part of his team. And he was the author on it. So I think the collaboration that made sense was to work on something like a manual, right? Where it wasn't my paranormal job or Peter's paranormal job, where we can meet in the middle and collaborate on a book together, where maybe ideas or ideology or egos got in the way and said, wait a minute, I want to do it this way. So it was I want to say an easy job. It wasn't, but it was an easier task to do a manual than something like a haunted location.
I recall our initial start as being very logical. We thought of topics that we'd like to talk about first, and then we split them up and divided them and say, Richard's going to write this part, I'm going to write that part, and then there might be some areas and chapters or topics that we both have something to say about, so we'd mix our input in, and edit as such. And the manual became quite thick. Actually, it was quite a lot of words by the time we had it like a finished manuscript ready to pitch. And it was to also answer your question, Alex. It was also in response to the proliferation of thrill-seeking groups that are out there that I know are always sort of moaning about and making it harder for legitimate professionals to get work, because we're all lumped in with the trespassers and the whatever, the ones trying to get likes on on their Instagram accounts and all that stuff. So instead of moaning about it, this was a proactive approach.
I was actually going to get to that point,
and hopefully a positive one. At the back of the book, I made sure I challenge the potential reader to pick up this book, hoping to reach those groups that want to be professional and they genuinely want to make a difference, but maybe they're stuck. And if they pick up this book, hopefully they'll up their game. And if they can meet us on the same level that we're very successful at and have done very well with, maybe that conversation can resume, and we can compare notes with another team. It's not about it's about cooperation, not competition. So if we can, the idea anyway was, I'm just rambling on here, but the idea was that we could find a common ground, share information, share experimental results, and try each other's techniques, and hopefully resume the deeper dive kind of information that we all long for, and answers going into this field.
And it's so important because I mean that, yeah, absolutely agree with the approach there, being proactive, because I mean there's not a lot of people who are proactive when it comes to that. They just automatically are set off by the wrongdoings of a lot of people out there that are really making it tough for people who are legitimate and very, very, serious about wanting to understand what's going on, and researching and experimentation and so on and so on, and laying it out in a responsible way, such as you guys have, which I applaud you on doing, because I mean there needs to be more of that. I mean, just like I said, it's going back to when I first began. Obviously, maybe probably, not quite as long as Richard there, but but it was the grassroots approach. It's like I had to go literally do hardcore research to find legitimate sources, to help me to understand, not just how to, where do I start looking for, ghosts or whatever. It's what do I use? What do I need? What, like tools, methods, how to investigate. I mean, to me, that's a big proponent, because I mean, most people who do this haven't got a clue how to investigate. Right? They don't know where to start with that. And if you ask me, I think that's one of the most important details you really need to look at when getting, when you start doing this, when you look into this. I mean, what do you guys think about the whole investigative sort of, and research as well? But I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, it's there's a lot of moving parts to it, right? You want to find a good location, you want to get permission to access, and then the techniques you use in that investigation. Unfortunately, a lot of people go in they've only got a weekend or maybe one day to go in there, or one evening.
Yep.
And they're trying to put everything into that maybe 6 or 8 hours, right? And that half the stuff that you might capture, you won't know until you get home and analyze it. Mm-hmm. So unless you've made access another visit, all that data it's nice to have, but really it's worthless, right? Because you may have names, you might have details about an incident, you might have borderline evidence. But unless you can take that data back to that site and use it now, because now you've started to build a relationship. They're communicating with you. And unless you go back, the conversation's over. You've got their name. What good is it if you're not going back to that place? Mm-hmm. So these are very important. Especially if you're very interested. I mean, there's a lot of people that do this for a lot of different reasons. They just want that thrill. It's more of a personal thing. Hey, I believe in ghosts because I had a couple of incidents going to these places, and that's why paranormal tourism is a big deal.
Yeah.
But for the serious investigator, you need to go back time and time and time again and build that relationship. And this is how you get to ask questions. This is how, you learn their names, and then you ask questions and you start to get details. And this is how we start to get that peek behind the veil. So, that's the main thing is if you want to be a very taken serious as an investigator, you need to start, I think, looking at long-term stuff. I look at these people that jump from site to site to site. Hey, I got a great EVP at this place, and now forget about it. I'm going over here now. It's sort of like sitting on your couch and watching all the movie trailers Well, that's great, but you have no idea what the movie's about. You just watch the trailers. So, you know,
Yeah.
get in there and find out what the movie's about. You know,
Yeah.
and that's gonna.
Mhm.
It takes a commitment. It takes some time, and it takes a, committed person to do that.
We have a question in chat.
Yeah.
What was your first experience that brought you to the field?
Well, I was raised in a haunted house.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know
How
Richards.
about you, Pete?
I wish I was raised in a haunted house.
Me too.
No, you
But I didn't really have, personally, I didn't have an experience other than a fascination with the idea of life after death, and that certain places were haunted by these interesting figures called ghosts. And then I watched Casper and saw that you could fly through things. And anyway, but yeah, but in many later years, that fascination continued, and I actually picked up one of Richard's books, the second one, and read up on his the memory matrix theory.
Yep.
And I thought, after stalling with the century-old theories of Harry Price and things that were told to the press at the time, what ghosts are, or why they might be haunting a place, et cetera, all these old world theories. I thought, here's a guy who's thinking like way outside of that box. And I love that progression. And so I, long story short, I sought him out and got in touch with him. And
your life has never been the same.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, that's literally. No.
That's what I said when I first met Richard.
Yeah.
I've been. I reached out to Richard because I was thinking of writing a book on Fort George and Niagara-on-the-Lake at the time.
Oh yeah, okay.
Also, in the second book was a reference to Fort George, so I believe I interviewed you, Richard, about your experiences there. But the whole time I was, I thought I was interviewing him. I sensed he was like, like judging me and sort of, scoping me at like, how serious is this kid?
Yeah.
And I think it was within a few months, I got a call to help to be asked to help out with an experiment at the Fusion Mansion. And then about a year and a half later, I got another call about the exhibition stadium investigation. Could I help out? And I was just, yeah, absolutely. And so even though I wasn't there the entire 13 months, I felt like that was my, I wouldn't say hazing ritual, but my test, to
That's
test.
when I first met you, right, Peter?
Test. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And at the end of that, he asked me if I'd be interested in joining. I said, absolutely. So that was 2011.
That's a long time ago. Fuck.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's been that long.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
20.
There's another question.
Yep.
When did science
You're up for a
become
raise.
What's that?
Peter's up for a raise, actually.
All right.
Oh, is he up for it?
Boom.
So the question is, where did
2% of nothing is nothing.
Exactly. When did science become the forefront and main tool of the paranormal study?
When?
Science?
Yeah. Yes. That's the question in chat.
Well, we try to use science in everything we do. But you have to remember that science, and I'm working on a new book actually, and science is not designed as it stands to solve this problem. It just can't. I mean, if you look at the scientific method and what's required of the scientific method, you can't analyze the things that we're finding with that method. You can't. It doesn't work. The equation doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's got to be repeatable. Well, what we do is not repeatable. I can't tell the ghost to do something over and over and over again. They're not going to comply. Right? So right there, the scientific method's failed. And a scientist looking at that is going to say, oh yeah, there's no ghost, there's no such thing, because it doesn't work in the method.
Mm-hmm.
So science as it stands is not going to solve this particular problem. Although we try to use as much science as we can when dealing with equipment, environmental equipment, surveillance equipment. A lot of what we do is be in the norm that are tried, tested, and true, right? Surveillance. Well, we know what surveillance. I was a surveillance operator for years. So we know how surveillance works, audio, video. So we apply that to our trade, and then we try to explain what we're capturing in a scientific way. So science plays a huge role, but it's not going to push us over the edge and say, hey, we've solved the problem here.
Right. What was the question from the chat room? When science started to become a part?
Yeah.
I would hazard a guess. I don't know for a fact, but my guess would be right from the beginning of investigating and seeking answers for this. I'm sure the original investigators would, I imagine they would, in order to reach people and help them to understand what people are experiencing, whatever, you'd have to go to science to say, look, I'll prove it. I'll prove what's happening to this person by recording it somehow, like recording the experience and using, as the years went on and technology started improving as far as recorders or cameras or audio equipment. They probably used science to explain, to prove that ghosts exist.
That was more Harry Price.
Yeah.
That was more Harry Price, right? Before that, it was the clergy. Usually the clergy were the ones, right? And that was spiritualism.
So people were using what they had at their disposal at the time. So anyway, to answer the question, I don't know if we can pin an actual date. I think it's just been, science has been incorporated since day one, whenever, somebody decided.
They would have had to have used that as a sort of like a backbone of investigative, inquiry. There is another question by someone else.
Hold on. Just James Friday House wanted a follow up there. Just finish that one first.
So basically what he said is, but it should be used, so referring to science, it should be used more than it is. It has to be used to rule out what we know in this universe.
Yeah, I guess, but we're dealing with instruments that we in the physical have designed and are using in the physical, when ghosts are operating in a reality or a plane that is not physical, clearly. So we may not be able to come up with an instrumentation or a form of machine or instrument on our side that will accurately capture or take a peek into their realm. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the ethereal. So unless there's some sort of they send instructions, for a physical counterpart.
Exactly.
I don't know if we have the right instrumentation to see them correctly. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It makes perfect sense.
I think our current understanding, we just don't have the knowledge yet. It's just not there.
Or the willingness, in my opinion.
Well, all the equipment we have is not. There's nothing designed for ghost hunting, really.
Yeah,
Right? We're just making use of things that were designed for other industries.
Yep.
And we're trying to apply those. Right. It's the same with language. We don't have the proper language to talk about this subject.
Yep.
And that's another problem that science has with us, right? When we talk about energy fields and portals, and they look at us like we're nuts, because that is very unscientific. So we don't even have the proper language yet to talk about this field properly. This is the same thing that parapsychologists have a very difficult time with, because they're trying to explain something that's almost unexplainable in scientific terms.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
we think we're making a great progress, but we're just scratching the surface here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did you?
Our,
Yeah.
our,
ask
yeah, our
Jenny's
chat's lighting
question
up today.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Next question is, why do ghosts wear clothes? If clothes are not alive, have a soul, why do ghosts wear clothes? Because ghosts are PG.
No, there are some naked ones.
I've got a photo
No.
of you, yeah.
This my answer would be that they remember what they look like, and it's all part of a ghost makeup is that we know of for sure after doing this work and all the research we've done, between us and other investigators, is that the soul or consciousness or life force or whatever you want to call it that leaves the body retains emotion and memory, and that will include the memory of how they looked or how they dressed.
Yeah.
And so when somebody witnesses that spirit with vintage clothing or whatever clothing they preferred to wear, they're seeing a projection of that memory being manifested as a projection. How about you, Richard? Would you agree with that or not?
Well, yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah, and I addressed that in my second book, Journeys into the Unknown, on the memory matrix,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what you take with you. When you die, you're still the same person. You have your memories, your emotions, humility. So you're not going to walk around naked. You remember what you look like. You remember that you wear clothes, and therefore your spiritual energy is going to resemble you. So
I like that idea. You become a magician.
yeah, sure.
I'm sorry.
What if you're a nudist?
Yeah.
Well, it's possible, and I do have a photograph of a ghost that's naked,
There you go.
standing at the back door of this particular residence I was investigating. And
I could have been a peeping Tom.
no, he's coming in the door. He's butt naked. So
Mm.
I don't know if he was swimming, because it was very close to Lake Ontario. So he might have come in from a night swim. I don't know. But
Yeah.
This wasn't at the mansion, was it?
yeah.
Okay. All right. We got a couple other comments here. I don't know if you guys want to continue with what you're talking
Sure,
or just random thought. Like, could everything you find simply be the spiritual DNA of many lives, and therefore each place you investigate is a paranormal crime scene?
Good.
Sure. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. It's
Mm,
no.
They're speechless. They're
Yeah,
speechless.
they're speechless.
Well, it was more of a statement. It was an
Yeah,
idea,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I have to mull that one over, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Spiritual DNA. All right.
Creestar's got one there.
Well, all I can say is that I haven't even done this nearly as long as Richard has, but I've already come to the point where, anything is possible. Like I've been out there and had experiences with the team that I've come to the conclusion that anything is possible. So I won't rule out spirit DNA. But how do you prove that though?
Exactly.
Using that again, back to the instrumentation limits.
Yeah, there's really very little we can do
Very
to prove
real.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but ideas are important though. Like keep up with these random thoughts. They're not nothing. Write them down, and that's, again, I have to go back to the book because we're talking about it. But this is how we're going to move forward, by discussing these kinds of things, and this is how theory starts to build. And so if that person wants to,
and it's important because
elaborate, go for it.
Well, it's important because so spiritual DNA. So you make a note of that. And what does it mean right now? We don't know. But you might have another epiphany 6 months from now, that might
Mhm.
set that entire thought on fire. And you go, wow. And then you've got a working theory. Then you share it with all your investigator friends and send them out into the world. And they try to either prove or disprove your new theory. And if they can prove it, well, now you're into something big, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it works.
Awesome. All right, we got one more question. You guys ready?
Just one? Okay.
No, well, I'm sure there'll be
Just
more.
one.
Why is it that most of the spirits are described in clothes from the 1800s and not the 2000s?
Who says that they aren't?
Touche, pussycat.
Well,
I know what you mean. I know what you're getting
spirits
at. Yeah.
I guess they mean
They-
by like most of the descriptions of the paranormal in the mainstream media,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because he has a point, or
Well,
she, I'm not sure. They have a point where most of the mainstream media will more than likely target a spirit from that era.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we've run into ones that are fairly recent.
Yeah.
I've even run into deceased family members. I mean, they only go back to the 60s and 70s, so they're not wearing 1800 period clothing. So I mean, yeah, it's very possible. It depends where you investigate. You know,
Yeah.
if you're
Yep.
if you're roaming an old Victorian house, it's very possible. I mean, you might run into somebody modern as well, but
Mm-hmm. Or investigating a contemporary home, where somebody had just died, and they might be reported to come back, and they could be absolutely wearing a concert shirt from like 2015 or something.
Yeah.
But we may not hear about it. But no, I think the point is the mainstream media likes to go for that Victorian era, and I mean, there's some romance to that, right? And it's probably
Sure.
because you could say, oh, they were dressed in period clothing, so they won't get sued by the family or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah,
yeah,
no, I'm sure they're all different eras of clothing that are out there. You just probably don't hear a lot
it's-
about.
It's got a lot to do, kind of like, with, or why is it just older buildings that are or older locations that are, have more activity or haunted or whatever else? Why is it always older? But I mean, it's not. It could be
No.
new buildings as well.
Mm-hmm.
brand
You
new
know,
buildings. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, brand new buildings have yielded some pretty bizarre stuff in my
Mhm.
experience. So.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have the
James-
allure. Doesn't have the atmosphere.
Well,
old
that's the
building,
thing.
it
It's the atmosphere, the lore. It's
Yeah.
like somebody's
Yeah.
going, how come everything that was so cool in the paranormal happened before the 80s?
Right.
Nothing since has really been great. You hear that all the time, right?
But my point, my take on that is that you have to be in the right frame of mind. If you go into a paranormal investigation with complete disbelief or complete negativity towards it, there's a good chance that you're not going to experience something because mentally you're blocking it. All right. And if you go into an older building that has that aura, it might sort of, for lack of a better term, shatter those barriers.
I guess
It
it's
does,
possible.
but it also creates. Yeah, but it also creates expectations. That's one of the problems in the investigative field. Is we sometimes go to a place knowing maybe not the history, but just the look of it might set those expectations, right?
Yeah.
And you go into a building that was built in 1806, and automatically you're looking for ghosts in period clothing, maybe talking with a Irish or Scottish English accent because that's the expectations we're building in our own mind.
Mhm.
So we have to be careful of these things. We have to, go in and with an open mind. But you have to have some skeptic ability to say, now you have to look at this at a couple different angles to see what I'm making of it, right? Before you can jump to a conclusion.
Yeah,
I agree.
the chat is on fire here, guys. The chat's on fire.
Great.
All right.
Okay, next question.
Cree's got another one.
Yeah, I'm getting to Fridays first.
Oh, okay. Sorry, James. That's
What are
right.
your thoughts on the idea that this reality is a simulation of sorts?
Good one.
It's very possible.
Mhm.
It's very possible. Well, I think on one of your episodes, 10 years ago, maybe, I don't know, well, more than 10 years ago, it was, we were talking about Mayan calendar of 2012.
Yep.
And I think I said, because I did an episode with you guys, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, if the world ended, we wouldn't even notice. We would just go on like nothing happened.
And what do you think? What carrying on with that, Richard? What do you think? Do you think that really did happen and we just haven't noticed? I mean, obviously the theory's out there that the reason why things are the way they are now is because the real world actually ended, and we didn't even notice.
It could have. I mean, look at if you want some support in that, look at the Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect, yeah.
Right? So something occurred. I don't know if it was with CERN, the large collider, or, but something's happened where things are changing. And we don't understand the magnitude of the things that have changed because we're talking about things that are in movies or songs or commercials or books that are blatant, obvious, right?
Yep.
Those things have changed. We know they've changed. We've seen this stuff and we go shake our head. Well, we haven't even examined on a personal level what's happened, right? People are remembering, hey, wait a minute, I have this vague feeling, some sort of memory that I had a sibling. But I don't have, my parents told me I don't have a sibling.
That would be screwed up.
Or people have said, photograph on the mantle shows my brother on the right side of my father and me on the left. But I clearly remember the opposite. So things are impacting that we can't even fathom because it's so personal and we're not broadcasting it or sharing it that we don't know the magnitude of what's happened. So that's a very possible thing. The other thing is life may have ended and we hadn't noticed. And this would explain why mediums can tell us information about not only the past, but the future. They can say, oh, I see this is going to occur. How do you see something about to occur if it's never occurred before? It's like deja vu. How do you remember something that happened that hasn't happened or that you weren't involved with? So that would suggest the world ended and we're sort of catching up, right? Like an echo.
Yeah.
So
like an
our
echo,
life
yeah.
ended and now we're starting to just catch up. And we go, oh, geez, I
All
sort
right,
of
I hope we
remember.
catch up soon because my fucking back's killing me.
Well, I do remember playing a lot of 649 in 2012, and I did win. I won. I think it was like $24 million. And for some odd reason, I went to go claim. They said you never won anything. You don't have the winning ticket. And this was like in 2013. So I guess it did end. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear,
Yeah,
Steve.
definitely.
Yeah, that sucks to be you, buddy.
I am too.
Yeah. We got a couple more questions here. If ghosts are real, why is good evidence hard to find? Sorry, I got a fruit fly coming around here. This fucking rat bastard.
Well, if you ask me, it's like anything. I mean, evidence again to me is a loose term when you're dealing with something you really have no idea about. But I mean, that's not to say that we haven't had really good evidence and we've just totally, said no. That's not evidence at all.
Well,
I don't know.
I disagree.
Yeah, me too.
I disagree.
Yeah.
There is
I would.
evidence. But
Yeah,
what,
like reams.
what will constitute to you as a person what is evidence? So I'll give you the best example that I can. So Peter and I were working on a job with the crew.
Yep.
And we set our recorders in the building in the structure, and we picked up an EVP. Nobody was in the building. We set them and we went outside to get the equipment, and they were running. And it was a young boy. He had a bit of an accent, and he said to a female, "Miriam, they're all alive." And she replied. She said, "Thank you." And that was the EVP that we had. And it was an older woman and a young guy. And there was, like I said, nobody in the building at the time. We came in, retrieved the equipment later, and we analyzed it and came up with this EVP. So we had this woman's name. Her name was Miriam. Interesting. So fast forward a couple months, and we brought a medium to the building to do a walkthrough and see what she discovered. And she didn't know anything about the place or where she was going. We had one of the team members pick her up and drive her there. And she was walking through, and during the walk, she determined there was an older woman named Miriam in that building. So this is very interesting. First we had an EVP, and then a couple months later we had a medium telling us about the same name that we had in this recording. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward some more time, a few more months down the road, and the owners of the property said, "Hey, we were doing renovations upstairs in the bedroom. We're putting in a bathroom, and we opened up a wall, and there was all these old newspapers and religious magazines and stuff as insulation, as they used to do back in the day, in the wall. Did you want to look at them?" Of course we do. So we went and looked at them. And from 1906 to 1907, religious magazines, there was postage labels, and they were addressed to a woman named Miriam, who lived in that building. Mm-hmm. So when you put all these three pieces together, that really constitutes evidence.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, for the most part, the word evidence, when it comes to the paranormal, I think is used way too loosely. I really do.
Of course. Yeah.
And it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts that, there's really no backing to a lot of the claims where people are saying this is, evidence. And that's the problem. I find that there's a lot of people out there that really don't do the research. And again, a lot of it's thrill seeking. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I just, I'm very, very skeptical when somebody says evidence of the paranormal. I always have been. And I'm not saying, I guess I'm not saying that there isn't evidence, but I mean, there is, a lot of it isn't evidence. It really is. There's nothing to sort of back it.
Well, that's a problem with the paranormal in terms of discussing it and agreeing on things, because it's 99% anecdotal in nature. It's I mean, we could have our own experiences when we throw ourselves into the field and do this work.
Yep.
But a lot of what we know, it comes from other people's experiences in the past, and so we're relying on their memories of the experience. Are they accurate? And human memory is awful, traditionally. So that's so this might be back, going back to this whole science idea. We can't be scientific about it in that sense. We're relying on people's experiences and those of ourselves. So, yeah, I don't know if you can bring a scientific, a truly mainstream scientific slant to this field. Quantum science, on the other hand, is a different animal.
Yeah.
Quantum science seems to be naming or picking up on things that we're picking up in the field and corroborating what we're finding. So I don't know. I just threw us off topic. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, like I said, this chat's very lively. Let's do one last question before our break, and then we can do the other questions after.
Sure. Yeah.
So back with Cree, I came in when you were talking about equipment. Honestly, it's an annoying subject to me, because if we have no clue what a spirit consists of, how do we know what would or wouldn't work?
That's a really good question.
Right now, I guess we're.
And that is a great question. But what we try and do is, when we have an occurrence of some type of paranormal phenomenon, we use specific pieces of equipment to see what the change is during that incident within the environment. So
explain the explainable.
Yeah. So we're trying to gain some insight through data. So 15 seconds before this incident occurred, there was no electronic or electromagnetic interference or anything occurring in that field. During that incident, we saw a spike in the Gauss meter of, say, 7 milligauss or 9 milligauss. And then afterwards, there was a flat line of 0 in the milligauss throughout the night. But so we have to say something interfered with the Gauss meter during that incident, that brief moment in time where there was nothing before and nothing after. So we record that. And then we hope that other investigators note the data when they have incidents, as well as ourselves, and then we start looking at a trend. Well, wait a minute. Every time there's a ghostly incident, there's a spike in the Gauss meter. So that's starting to tell us something. So, and that applies to every piece of equipment we bring into the field. Is there a static field? What is occurring? And we start to look for trends.
Yeah.
And through those trends, we start to come up with theory that a ghost might interfere or produce electromagnetic fields. It might work within a certain range of frequencies, things like that. So we log this data, and over years, the more people that record data, we start to get an idea of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So equipment it's important.
Absolutely.
Oh man, there's so many questions. Okay, so
Right.
when we come, keep those questions coming. By the way, guys, Neil, we'll get to your question when we come back from our break. Once again, I want to thank everybody who's tuned in on the New Visions Radio Network, and of course, watching us here on YouTube. We have Richard Palmisano and Peter Rowe of the Searcher Group talking about their new book, The Complete. Oh man, what did I screwed that up. The Complete Paranormal Investigation Handbook, which the link is there in this show description here on YouTube to check it out, to grab it, whatever else, and much more. Yeah. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Again, you're watching and listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Good evening. I'm Richard Palmisano, the founder of the Searcher Group. It's a paranormal company, the oldest in Canada. I founded it in 1979, which not only makes me old, but makes me doing paranormal research and field work for just under 45 years now. I am also an author, researcher, and lecturer on the paranormal. I've written 6 books now. And I really enjoy coming on with Steve and Alex on Nocturnal Frequency Radio, as well as listening to the shows, because there's a lot of interesting guests there. I like it, looking at this stuff, because it opens your mind to other options and other alternative thoughts. And there's always time to learn new things. So I hope you join us and come and see Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Thank you.
So let me ask you, what makes for good radio?
My 5 favorite songs all day long.
Play it again.
No.
As many commercials as physically possible.
What? No, why would that be good?
Great music, great talk shows, no commercials.
Precisely. New Visions Radio gives you no commercials, no nonsense, just the best new music and the best talk all day long, 24/7, 365. NewVisionsRadio.com.
Hey guys, Kristen here, host of the Paranormal Girl podcast, a bingeable exploration and deep dive education about the paranormal for the skeptical believer. Some of my past season topics have included shadow people, Mandela effect, demons, and UFOs. Currently, I am tackling Bigfoot. I have been sharing this journey with my audience since early 2021, and I have learned a lot these last few years. It's truly a mysterious world out there beyond our perceptions, and reality is just not what it seems. I have also, since the start, met some awesome folks like Alex and Steve, and I've really enjoyed watching and learning from them and also joining them on their show. Their guests are always outstanding, their listeners are just the coolest, and these hosts are some of my favorite people. I recommend their show to anyone looking for an intelligent and fun conversation about the paranormal amongst friends. So join me on my investigation, join Steve and Alex on theirs, and enjoy. Now back to the show. You are watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
And that you are. Welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, of course, live on the New Visions Radio Network and simulcasting here on YouTube. And once again, we have Richard Palmisano and Peter Rowe. Thank you guys for joining us again this evening. Always intelligent conversation, that's for sure. And that's the thing. I mean, it's. I kind of miss that with the paranormal. You know, having, these conversations that really are thought provoking, and I think that seems to be. I mean, it's there. People do talk about it, but I see it kind of, to me, is fading in certain areas of the field, if you will. And being drowned out by a lot of the nonsense, obviously. But, in the current state that you guys see the paranormal, I mean, what are your thoughts, with all the noise out there? Do you think that we will get back to that sort of grassroots sort of approach? Do you think there's... Or do you think that's completely lost forever?
No, I think we're going to get back to that. I think we're starting to see, we're seeing some of the shows disappear. They're not being renewed. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people that weren't in it for the real reasons are starting to, they're finding other hobbies. They're finding other motorcycle racing is more exciting, or something like that, So eventually it'll dwindle, and people like us will be in the background still working away at it.
Mhm.
You know, we've got. I mean, this is exciting end to the year. I foresee next year's going to be a banner year. You know, Peter's got not that we can talk too much about it, but Peter's got a phenomenal job coming up. I've got some very important experiments I'm going to do. Hopefully, we're going to get working on that this week into the next few weeks coming. So there's going to be a lot of stuff happening over the next few months, I think.
Yeah.
Can I be the guinea pig for your experiments?
What's that?
Can I be the guinea pig for your? I want to be the guinea pig for your experiments.
You want to be a guinea pig?
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you didn't scare the ghosts, the ghosts away.
Exactly.
Have you on board, but,
I was going to say that might entail constructing a huge wheel for you to run in.
Nah, if it involves running, forget it. I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Richard's right. We've got a couple of interesting projects in the works. His own and my own. One that I've been working on for 7 years, trying to get going, and you know, just as you know, guys, you know, being in the field yourself, this work takes a lot of patience and persistence.
Yeah.
It is work, folks. So read the manual, and you'll be well seasoned by, and maybe a little overwhelmed by the amount of information that's in there. You know, it's a lot of work. But I think the grassroots idea. Yeah, I think we'll get back to that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to. It would be nice to. It would be nice to. I mean, obviously, you know, a lot of the stuff has kind of been updated. You know, the chalk circles, the chalk, you know, paper and pad. You know, the data collecting is different now. But you know what? I think it's still very important. You need to collect that data and record the data. I mean, that's, you know, one of the most important things. Like Richard said earlier, you know, it's like you got to bring meaning to that data, because I mean, if you collect all that data, what's the point of collecting it? What good's it if you can't make meaning of it?
Yeah,
you know.
Well, so, and share it. Share it.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to share it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might have been collecting data for a decade, and then you go out and you hit upon something so important you don't even realize what you have that this person's been looking for that has all the other stuff, and you have that missing puzzle piece that they've been looking for that would just open the door to something remarkable. And you go, well, I don't know what it means, and you don't share it. Well, you know, what's the point?
That's that collaboration piece.
And I do. I did an article. It's on the Llewellyn Paranormal Journal website, and I see on social media. I see a lot of people displaying their equipment. They have tables full of equipment, right? Voice recorders and spirit boxes, surveillance equipment, all kinds of meters, everything you can imagine. But there's always something missing. And so I did an article on it. And the big thing that they're missing is very specific environmental meters to detect things like mold, infrasound.
Big one, yep.
Barometric pressure.
Yep.
Just you know, is there slight gas leak? Is there, you know, what's the air quality in the building? Like a home inspection, because we can't say it's paranormal. How can we just jump in and say it's paranormal until we remove all the naturally occurring things?
Yep.
Once we remove that, well, you might have something interesting.
That's the thing.
Until
That's
you
the
do that-
portion. Yeah.
Right. And this is where you're coming back to the scientist. Well, did you check for this stuff? They're going to say no because they don't own the equipment. So make an investment. You've already spent tens of thousands of dollars on all these other pieces of equipment. Get the stuff that'll tell you right away, is it paranormal or is it not? And the chance is once you take all that stuff off the list, you might have something interesting.
Richard, what would you recommend? Like, I mean, I know what I use, but I mean, what would you recommend for collecting, for recording infrasound?
Yeah, so infrasound's it's a tough thing to get, right? Because you're dealing in low, very low frequencies. But I can detect that with some of the surveillance equipment I use because they're set to 10 hertz. So that's 10 hertz below human hearing. So if I'm detecting that hum and that signal, plus I use a frequency counter, a handheld frequency counter, and I look for these frequencies.
Yeah.
Those are the easiest ways. I mean, there's more complicated, more expensive. You can spend tens of thousands of dollars on equipment for sound. But those are the things
I just purchased a new tool that is actually really good at collecting infrasound. It's a new puppy.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
I called him Scooby Doo. No, I'm just kidding. But no. Yeah, it's exactly below 10 hertz. Exactly. And that's excuse me. Another area that I think is very vital to understanding what's going on is infrasound, and how much of a key role it plays in understanding not just the audio bits, but so much more. That's I think one area that I wouldn't say specialized in, but I mean that's one area that I've been really homed into for several years. So to me, that's a vital part for sure.
Yeah.
Just
it's all important. I mean,
it's all important.
We can't jump to conclusions. You know, if we don't look at this stuff, we're jumping to conclusions, right? You have to take it off the list. It's either there or it's not, right? And that's going to include, 24 different things. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can measure. I can go around and I can measure airflow, right? Well, I feel chills and the door creeps closed every once in a while. Okay, so I check. Is there an airflow? Is there a vent over there that's kicking on every hour or something? Or maybe the window is leaking and there's a breeze coming through. So we have to eliminate that first, and then I can't just jump in and go, oh yeah, you got a demon.
Demon, no.
You got a leaky window here. The breeze is coming. So you can sleep okay. Go ahead.
I've got a good demon story, but I think I've already told it. But Neil's got a question. Have either Richard or Peter done many investigations in the UK, centuries of history, folklore, witches, ghosts, and much more? Have you guys done anything over in the UK at all?
No.
No.
Short answer, no. Would love to.
Well, longer answer. We have perfectly good ghosts right here in Canada.
There you go.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I think Neil's over in the UK, so he's just kind of wondering.
No, I would absolutely
I'd love
to.
to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would love to go. I mean,
is this an invitation?
Sure,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah? Can you put us up for a couple of years?
Well, yeah,
Couple years, that's right.
Well,
So we can-
let's start. Well, they have an event going on in October 25th. I think. What is it? The Urbageddon. Or Urbex meets the paranormal. So hey guys, invite us over. Get a GoFundMe and bring us all over, and
That would be
do
great.
some.
Yeah, no,
That'd
I
be
would,
awesome.
if we could afford to be there, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great question.
Cree's got okay. Do you think the problem is we are looking for trying to talk to spirits using living state of mind and ideas? Maybe the two are so different that we go about it the wrong way.
A living state of mind? I might need a definition on that. Like using brain waves, or I'm not quite sure.
I don't know.
I understand. Do you understand?
The methods we use are the only methods we currently understand.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, now, are we communicating through voice and hearing, or is it something more direct? Right. And this might account for 5 people in a room and only one person heard the EVP or heard that disembodied voice, or saw something nobody else saw it. So is it something to do with psi or that psychic connection? We don't know.
Or,
Cree,
That's why
or
we
that open-minded thing that Alex was talking about.
Yep.
Like opening your brain to the possibility of communication. So it happens or it doesn't happen. I am always amazed that one of the abilities that I think ghosts tend to, there's a pattern that they tend to be able to read our minds. I'm thinking of examples of, I'm sure Richard's, was there when one of our mediums would be communicating with a ghost live, and we'd be having a conversation, an alleged conversation, and I would just about to ask a question, and she would interrupt me and said, "He already knew what you were going to ask." And I'd be like, "Son of a!" I was just like, "Okay." So, but that kind of stuff is interesting. That's the kind of stuff I log. Like, okay, maybe they have that ability. They can, tap into our psyches or minds, or maybe they'll run into a discussion about fate and destiny, and has everything already happened? Has the future already happened? And so that's how they know what we're going to ask next. Who knows? Get into all kinds of different avenues when you talk about ghosts, don't we?
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, and that's why we do what we do, right? There are so many avenues, and sometimes that's where we run into difficulties. We're going down this path, and we think, hey, we're making some good progress, and when you know it, they throw a monkey wrench into it, and we're like, okay, well, that whole thing's wrong, and I got to start over. So, but you have to be willing to say I'm wrong, and learn from it and move into another direction, right? If you can't face that fact that you're going to, we're wrong, and to be honest, paranormal investigators are wrong 90% of the time.
That's why I feel like a student all the time. I'm constantly learning, constantly, right? Right.
So, but if we were always right, we would have solved this 100 years ago.
Right.
Maybe we
having
did.
this discussion.
Yeah. Neil's got another question. Have you ever been on an investigation where dogs are seen around their long dead masters' mausoleums or crypts? Where I grew up, 2 wolfhounds are seen near their graves. Have you had any sort of anything that resembles that?
Nothing for me. I've encountered animal spirits, but nothing like that.
No, I've recorded a horse sort of snuffling. You know how they go?
Yeah.
Just in an open air situation. We were outside of the Scarborough Guild of All Arts, if you recall that time, Richard, and had a couple of mediums with us, and we were standing outside the gates talking about how, in the olden days, when people wore, those clothing, horse-drawn carriages would come up to this driveway and let people off. And then when I played back the recording, there was that. It was just like, okay, the horse, Mr. Ed had to make a point there.
Well, didn't you get something like similar at the Horse Palace at the CNE?
Yeah, and of course that's where you would expect to hear something like that as well. Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, and I think you've picked up cat meows and certainly pictures of the forms of cats and that kind of thing. So yeah. So, but around mausoleums, no, not yet. I don't hang out around them enough, I guess, to see.
Well, we don't do a lot of cemeteries.
No.
It's a hard place to work, right? It's open air and it's too much.
Hard to contain, hard to control the environment.
Yeah, the control. Yeah. That's right.
And that's always an issue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I am familiar with the stories of grieving pet owners who feel their pets return, within 24 or 48 hours of the pet passing away, and always tugs at the heartstrings, of course, because as a pet owner myself, I have had those experiences too. More as an olfactory experience instead of a visual or audible. So I think it is possible. I mean, there are people who say, well, animals don't have souls, they can't come back, but they're probably not pet owners. But anyway.
In the current state that you guys are both in right now, the level of experience that you both have had throughout your research and investigations, how would you best explain, the people that we're making or the things that we're making, communicating with, are they actually those of dead loved ones, or perhaps something a little bit more glitch in a time frame or dimension? What do you guys think? Your thoughts about that?
You.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Pete.
Oh no, I spoke last time, so I'm lobbing the ball.
Yeah, so I take that communication at face value with a bit of pinch of salt. What I mean by that is, if they're an unknown and they're communicating, I record what they're saying and what they're doing. But I also am smart enough to understand they could be lying, they could be hiding something, or they could be misdirecting. So I have to be careful of that. And this is why a long-term investigation is important. Because if they're lying or hiding something, that will play out eventually. You will find the truth. Mm-hmm. But I take it at face value because I've communicated with deceased family members. And I can verify what they've said to be true. So it's so I have to look at it in that perspective. They're there. Some of them want to communicate. Some of them have a story to tell. Some of them have a secret to hide. So as long as you're aware of that and you're doing it with respect, but you're also cautious and careful of what you're collecting and how you analyze it. You can't jump to a conclusion and go, oh, he said he said this and it's got to be the truth. Not necessarily.
Right.
You don't know who they are and what their intentions are.
Yeah.
If they're hiding a secret and they tell you something, they could be misdirecting you because they don't want you to know.
Yeah, agreed.
But I don't know if that answered the question. Sometimes I just ramble. So.
Hold on, just reading that.
Any more questions there, Alex?
I'm scanning right now. There's not concrete questions.
No, a lot of comments.
Yeah, a lot of comments, a lot of thoughts and whatnot.
Like their hair color is different from the ad.
Wait a second. Are you sure these are the right guys? Come
Yeah, I was gonna say. Just sold us a box full of goods.
But notice how Richard, we made your mustache really prominent.
Yeah, I'll say.
Richard looks great. My eye color's changed.
Okay, can we? Kristen wants to know: can we get any hints of Richard's upcoming experiments? He's always got experiments on the go, but
I'll give her a hint.
Yeah,
I'll give her a hint. It involves a lot of D-cell batteries.
It could, yeah.
D-cell batteries, yeah.
It's all based on scientific questions that came up in the past, such as one of them was Albert Einstein, for example. I can't get too much into it because it's these are probably some of the most important experiments I'm going to ever conduct. They're probably up in the top 3 in my 46-year history. And they're probably important to the point where nobody's done anything like this in 170 years we've been searching for these answers. I don't know why.
Wait, hold on a second. Richard, you told me it's only been 40 years. 40 plus. You're saying 170 now? Wait a sec here.
No.
Come
For me, 46 for me. But since a little episode in Hydersville, New York,
yeah,
with the Fox sisters there.
Yeah.
But nobody's. I don't know why nobody's come up with this before and tested it, but hopefully, I know it's difficult. It's probably one of the hardest things to organize.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've organized a lot of stuff, man. Not only in the paranormal, but in when I used to work for a living. And this thing is the most complicated thing I've ever had to endure. But we're going to get there, and hopefully it works out. And then the next time we adjourn to meet on the airwaves here, we'll be able to discuss it.
Yes, I'm sure that will happen. Of course, you guys. Well, both of you are always welcome to come back. Obviously. Okay, hold on.
I do have another question from Friday.
Okay, yep, go for it.
What's your favorite method or tactic used in the paranormal research? What is your most hated?
I think favorite, as in procedure, like tactic, investigation procedure, like using a piece of equipment or something.
Yeah, it's something to that.
Or a technique.
Yeah.
For me, I love to incorporate music because it tends to evoke an emotion, an emotional reaction from a spirit, and but like the powder trap, it doesn't always work, but that's why we experiment, right? So I like to incorporate music as a favorite. I don't know if I would incorporate a tactic that I hated, because if it,
But what would be one of the tactics that you don't like or hate?
Well, what I personally don't prefer, or I wouldn't want to use, is a portal device, one of those spirit box devices with the filters built in, because arguably, and I make this point in the book as well, you're putting your trust, the investigators are putting their trust that there's a filter there that's truly filtering out junk audio when you could be missing some amazing fresh frequency or information coming through, and yet this filter that you paid a few $100s for is ignoring it and deciding what you want to hear, kind of thing. So I would not recommend sinking that kind of money into one of those fancy portal devices. I would completely recommend using a Frank's box, a PSB7 device, and record those spirit box sessions and listen to every audio level. It's a pain in the ass. I would make your sessions 10 minutes long because it takes so long to properly analyze them. But there is information there that could be thrown away as junk. But through the years, when I've listened back to our audio, I've picked up on at least 4 layers of audio at different levels, from prominent to far away. And they're conversing with each other. They're talking about us. They're talking to each other about us, or telling each other off. Don't tell them that, this kind of thing. And it's fascinating stuff. And with a portal device, I think you're going to lose a lot of that opportunity. So that's my long ass question or answer.
The thing that really burns me is, and we would never deploy anything like this, but provoking, being disrespectful and trying to provoke them into anger and stuff.
Yeah.
That it's not necessary, and that you really need to be desperate to start doing something like that, to try and get a rise out of somebody. It's certainly not. You might get some type of activity very briefly, but you're certainly not going to build any type of relationship. So it's good if you're a thrill seeker and you're only spending a couple hours at the place and you decide that you're not coming back. But the harm is, the next group of investigators might want to go to that location, and you've already destroyed that relationship. So they're going to have trouble. So this is some of the damage being caused out in the field.
Yeah, there's another question. Hold on. Julie asked a question there. Oh, wait.
Yeah. So she asked, do you think male versus female investigators can get different responses as results? Do you think women can be more open to communication with possible spirits?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or I was going to say, sorry to interrupt, or a spirit might be more comfortable speaking with a woman than a male.
Yeah, it depends on the message. It depends on their frame of mind and what the message is. What part of that story they might not be comfortable speaking with a male. So that information might flow easier with a female investigator or a female medium. And we, if they weren't there, we wouldn't get that piece of that story as a.
Yeah. Oh, we lost Steve.
Yeah, no, he had to go to the washroom.
Okay. You don't take the camera with you?
No, you wouldn't want to see that. You wouldn't want to see that.
No.
There was a question earlier. I know you guys would love to answer about demons. If you have a definition, a definition for demons, or explain what you think they are.
Yes. A demon is it's a diabolical entity. But as for it depends what your background is, what your religious beliefs are. You can call it 100 different things, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the problems. Going back to language, how we have a hard time dealing with this stuff, because a Christian or a Catholic might call it a demon, right? Muslim might call it a jinn. So, right, a Hebrew might call it a Dybbuk. So this is where we have problems. We have to settle on what we're going to call these things. We could call them 100 different names, but they all boil down to being the same thing. So, are they out there? Yeah, they are out there. They're, thank God, they're extremely rare. But this is what I mean about language. We don't know what to call them, because if you call them even though every major religion believes that they exist, if you call it by the wrong name, the other guy's going to say, well, that's just nonsense. It's made up. It's just the Catholic Church trying to scare you. Although if you research them, they go back 5,000, 6,000 years, right? The Sumerians have demons. So it's not a Catholic thing. It's just, what name do you want to call them? It's like God. Everybody believes in God. Well, not everybody, but the majority believe there's a God. But what name? What name are you going to call them? Right? And this is, we'll just start a war, hey? Right?
Right.
So it's about the language. It's about the language and finding the right word that everybody can agree on. So it makes it hard. It makes it very difficult.
But would you agree that malevolent spirit, using the word demon, is detrimental? Because the way I see it is, the word, if you're looking at the Western society, which is predominantly Christian of one denomination or another, the word demon incites the belief in a, satanic creature, demonic creature that lives in hell and tries to, sway you and eat your soul, kind of deal. Just to make it very succinct there. But
sure,
my personal belief, for me anyway, is that yes, you can have spirits that are evil or bad, just like you have people who are bad and you have people who are good. That doesn't change in any other scenario. You have both the positive and the negative. You have that in electricity. You have that in even everyday world. So it's the problem is that we do label it as a demon, and that's been popularized by a lot of the shows on TVs and what have you, and that's where the problem stems. And then again, that's just my personal view on that.
Been watching too much Supernatural.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but there's a distinct difference between an individual who was bad or evil in his lifetime and died and he continues to be bad or evil, and what we are describing as demonic or whatever you want to call it. There's a huge difference in those two. One has a limited ability. They may want to cause harm. They might want to cause all kinds of problems for you. But they're limited on what they can do. They can scare you. They can probably push you down the stairs. They can cause all kinds of problems. But the other one is so diabolical that it plays these games and twists you into a little tiny hole where you can't even respond. It's over. The game is over. That shows that they have a huge amount of intelligence, intellect, and ability to do things that we can't comprehend.
But is that a demon and not something else?
Well, that's what they're called. That's the only name we have for them. There are certainly non-human entities out there, and Richard has encountered them over the years, and I have had a little sneak peek at that world myself. We don't know what to call them or label them or categorize them as, other than, non-human entities.
Yeah. And
but television is, quick to say demon this week, next week, another demon kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Just, for entertainment purposes.
Mhm.
But as Richard said, they're actually very rare by comparison.
we use the name
Extremely, yeah.
for convenience. It's we use the name for expeditious. We're trying to make it convenient in a conversation. We just throw it out there. Yeah, but it's I don't know what they are. I don't know what to call them, but I know they're much more than some grumpy old evil guy that died and he's come back to haunt. Because they're very limited. They're very limited. He and I've run into those guys. Edward was a prime example in my first book, Overshadows. Very evil, very mean-spirited, wanted to hurt everybody, hated animals, hated women, but he didn't have the power that non-human entity does. He couldn't travel far off the property. He couldn't do certain things. He wanted to. He couldn't. But so he was as bad as he was limited, thank goodness. But there are things out there that are 1,000 times worse. And we don't know what to call them. So, I throw that name out because it's convenient. But it could be, if you research all the major religions, they all have something like that. It's just called something different.
So, Friday House James is going to throw us for a loop here with his question. Not really a loop, but totally off topic.
Well,
not really off topic,
completely.
but it's not completely
the
off
question?
topic. But the question is, have you guys studied NEDs or OBEs?
I think you meant to say NDE.
NDEs, sorry.
Possibly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fred.
NED.
Nope, right.
Yeah.
No,
Near
NEDs.
death.
Yeah, NEDs, yeah. Near-death experiences.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
I mean,
you can
some of
not,
the best evidence is Stevenson, dedicated his entire life to study this stuff. Right? He started the scientific or the research down in Virginia to look at all this stuff. So, and some of the best evidence of life after death and reincarnation comes out of his work. It's phenomenal stuff. Right? Some of the greatest, I just love them, are children up until the age of, they can push it, 4, maybe 5 years old, where they have reoccurring memories of past lives.
Yeah.
And so amazing that they can tell you who they were, who their families were, where they lived. And then you go out and research it. And how does a 4-year-old know this stuff?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this is some of the greatest evidence that,
And
but people are quick to dismiss it. Well, yeah.
Yeah. I love reading up on the stories of out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences, that kind of thing. I did a talk recently, and somebody during the Q&A session, they asked, what if you left your body and appeared to somebody else? Is that a ghost? And I thought, well, that's a great question. I think that the term for that would be a living ghost, or the crisis apparition. You've probably heard that term before, when someone's dying or in a great deal of stress, and somehow psychically they project their image to a loved one. But to answer the question, I have researched a lot of the OBE and NDEs myself too, because they'll come back. The people will come back and give us a very clear idea of what it's like to be outside of the body, the limitations and freedoms. Frankly, some of them can do it at will. They can sort of meditate themselves into a state where they claim they can leave their body and leave the house and visit somebody, kind of thing, and then they just know somehow to return to their body. And I think they have a lot to tell us, because they're telling the same thing. People are reporting the same things from all different walks of life, different parts of the world. And I doubt very much that they're collaborating and saying, let's fool the world by telling the same story.
Well, there was I talked to two cardiologists in Etobicoke, and they were asking me about near death, and because they had patients who had passed on the table,
Yeah.
and then 90 seconds, 120 seconds later, they've been revived, and they have these experiences, and they were talking about it. And they said, well, how can we better understand it? How can we get some evidence or prove that this is occurring? And they were explaining, things that they saw and things they heard, and they said the things they heard, maybe somehow they heard the doctor and the nurses talking and they remembered that. Possibly. Doubtful, very, very doubtful. But he said, we can't rule that out. But the things they saw, not only they were under, but now they're deceased. And they're seeing things that are occurring that actually happen.
Yeah.
So I said, well, it's a very simple thing. Get an LED display that says a couple of words and put it up on a cabinet or on a rack facing the ceiling. Mm-hmm. Nobody can see what it says. There's only going to be you or whoever programmed it. And just leave it there. And if one person has an NED, ask them what it said.
Mm-hmm. So
they took that advice. I don't know what the results were. I should have kept contact with them, but they did. They went out and got it. And it's used in, I think it's the Queensway Hospital there.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So,
yeah.
No,
so
I don't know. Well,
I've read stories of somebody who claimed they left their body, on the table, and they were horizontal on the ceiling, looking down at the body, wondering, oh, I look like crap, but I feel great. This body feels great. And they noticed, I think it was either a ceiling fan or on the top of a cabinet, it was a coin of some kind, or a note, or a penny, or something. And so when they came back to their body, they pointed that out. And sure enough, somebody reached up there and like, oh yeah, it is up here. It's like dust covered, and who would have known that if they didn't do what they said that they did. Fascinating.
And see, this goes right back to almost the beginning of the show, is what constitutes evidence. Mm-hmm. So we look at that and we quickly go, that's amazing. And then 3 seconds later, it's dismissed. We move on and we go, so what do you think evidence would look like? And that's what it is about this whole field.
Mm-hmm.
It's only evidence if it's on the personal level. And what I mean by that is I can explain a million things to you. I can show you photographs. I can show you video. I can let you hear EVP. But it's not until you're in your bed at 2 a.m. and something is standing at the end looking at you that you have that experience, that now you understand what evidence is. Mm-hmm. It's a personal thing. It's not a shared thing.
Which kind of makes the next question kind of moot in my opinion. But the next question would be, do any of you have a scientific background? And if so, what? And if not, what qualifies you to say your study is scientific in nature?
I do not have scientific background. And I guess what I'm saying.
So I'm going to say no, but I do have a background. I'm a trained criminal investigator. I'm trained in surveillance work, work in security and law enforcement for almost 30 years.
I can attest to that
mostly-
because he actually caught me. I was urbexing in some place and he caught me. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I'm not a scientist. Although I'm an armchair scientist, I try and learn as much as I can about science. I had to know a lot about certain things for my job, but as a scientist, no. What qualifies me is just
40 plus years of
investigate.
experience.
And it's the investigative end.
Mhm.
You know. So I have
I
talked
don't-
to scientists. I've brought them information. I've talked to religious leaders. I've brought them information. We've had good conversations. Not one time they said, "What the hell are you talking about?" They always lead to extraordinary conversations. So if you can hold a good conversation with a religious leader or a scientist, you've done your homework. You know, I think you're doing the right things. You might not know everything you need to know, and that's why we continue to try and learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't go out on wild tangents and the crazy theories that are out there. But we have to look at it at a reasonable. We need a reasonable explanation for things. We can't, some things are off the wall. We run into things that I won't even talk about because they're just way out in left field. You see them, you experience them, and you just there's no context in your life to even try to explain what you just experienced. So you just okay, we'll put that on the dusty shelf and not talk about that one for a while.
It's wow, 5:54.
I know.
We got a couple more minutes.
Yeah. No, I was going to say about the scientific method. I mean, at the dawn of science, what qualified them? It's a learning experience. They forged the field, right? That's what we have. That's what we're trying to do.
Science had its pitfalls along the way. They used to have doctors selling the idea that smoking was good for you.
Yeah.
They also said, "Hey, we could spray you down with DDT. It's okay, nothing to worry about."
Yeah.
But when it comes to ghosts, it's funny because they'll look at you and say, "Well, it doesn't fit the scientific method, so therefore it can't be." But they will then turn around and look at dark matter or dark energy. Well, hold on a minute, because that doesn't fit the scientific theory either, or scientific method. But they're going to go with it. We're going to run with that because it sort of makes sense. We like the idea, but you know what I mean? There's a double standard there.
Yeah. Bit of a bias. Yeah.
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 But there's a reason. There's a good reason for that. And I don't think we have time for me to tell you though.
No, it'd have to be another show. We'd have to do a part two.
No, that is a series of shows, okay? Not just another one. A series of shows.
So tune in next time, kids.
Yeah. So okay, guys, quickly get all the information out that you need to, including the book.
Sure. The complete Paranormal Investigation Handbook is out in stores now. Amazon, Chapters Indigo, Books A Million. Get your copy. Learn a lot. Have a safe and productive search. How was that?
That was perfect.
If you want to get a hold of us, if you want to get a hold of us, you can email me at richard@thesearchergroup.ca, or you go to the website. It's thesearchergroup.ca, or you can look me on Facebook.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Or get your recording device and ask questions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No. Yeah, first. Yeah, my email address is in the books as well. Mortal Coil Paranormal at gmail.com. It's a mouthful.
Well, guys, it's been an honor to have you both back on. Always fun to have Richard and Peter. We'd love to have you back on as well.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it's always a blast, and you know, it's so full of info, and it's great. Guys, take care, and I look forward to grabbing the book. I got to grab the book, but I'm definitely going to grab the book and give it.
I want a signed copy.
Yeah, that sounds like I want a signed copy too. Come on, where can we get a signed copy, guys?
Well, we might know a. We might not. We might know a guy. We might. Yeah, we can get that signed. I know a guy. Right, Pete?
Yeah. The trick is to get us both sign the manual anyway.
Yeah.
What
That's
is
right,
it?
yeah.
160 kilometers between the two of you? Yeah. We might have to go to a meeting place.
Meeting Place of the
Of the
Dead.
dead.
Yeah, meeting place of the dead.
There's a plug for one of your other books, Richard.
Thanks, buddy. I need that. I need all the plugs I can get.
Well, thanks for having us on.
It's been a blast. Thank you again, guys. Take care.
Thanks to
Have a
all
good
your
night.
viewers and all the great questions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were like full of energy tonight, man. Holy
Awesome.
crap!
Yeah.
Good
We'll
question.
keep coming.
You bring the best out of them, guys.
Sweet.
All right, guys, take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Good night.
Take care,
Good
guys.
night.
Take care, guys.
Good night. Yeah, it's you know, thank you guys for tuning in and watching us here on YouTube. You know, no show next Sunday night because it's Canadian Thanksgiving.
That's right.
It's Canadian Thanksgiving.
Even I'm gonna
So-
be too fucking stuffed with fucking turkey.
Yeah.
Filled
So,
with
but
stuffing.
we're back October 19th with a dark discussion. Mr. James Friday House. Check your Discord. I left you a message. And we're going to bring some more people on for a dark discussion on the paranormal because it's always fun and constructive. And maybe Adam can learn some more tonight or that night. Adam, take notes. Adam, take notes. Get your pad and paper and pen out and take notes. Guys, thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Hit the like button. Subscribe. If you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And more guests on the way. We will be making announcements soon. And a meet and greet, Alex? A meet and greet. Yeah, meet and greet. Meet and greet. We're going to make some announcements.
We are.
We're going to make some announcements. All right. Until then, guys, take care, and we'll see you on the 19th.
See you later.
Later.